Hi, this is Dr. Hjort here, and welcome to this first week of our APGOV AP Comparative Politics class. Each week, or before each unit, I will send out this a brief video that will kind of introduce you to some of the topics that we will be covering throughout the week to come or the weeks to come, depending on how long those units are. These introductory videos are not necessarily meant to teach you the concepts themselves, but they're meant to more set the tone and to give you a broad idea what we'll be talking about and what we will be learning about during the next few weeks. So that's the basic purpose of this. So the best way to approach these videos as we go throughout this year is just I'm going to give you some very brief written notes, and again these are very brief. I would like for you to write those down so that you have those as you go through the unit that we're about to study. So the first unit in this AP US Government and Politics class that we'll be dealing with this fall is the introduction. And that basically deals with two different things. So if you take a look at this sheet here, it deals with two different things. And it's basically the definition and purpose of the government and the historical, social, cultural, and philosophical underpinnings of our government. So if you could kind of note those two things. Basically, so what it deals with is what is a government? Why do we have a government? What's the purpose of a government? That's kind of the first broad look at this topic that we'll take. And then the second overarching theme of this unit is what are the historical, the social, the political, cultural, philosophical underpinnings of our government, of the United States government. How is it that this government came to be what it is today? So that's kind of the first thing that we'll look at. And then as we get further into this unit, the first thing that we'll take a look at is some basic ideas of what a government is. So again, if you take a look at this sheet here, some basic ideas about what a government is. What is a democracy? What is politics? Public policy, the political process, and what are some of the benefits and drawbacks of our political systems? Again, these are some guiding questions to kind of help you out as we go along with this first unit. So basically what this part of the unit does is that it introduces us to different interpretations about what the government is, because different scholars have different ideas about what constitutes a government. We will look at some definitions of democracy, public policy, politics, the political process, etc., etc. And then we'll take a look at what some scholars consider to be the benefits of our government and some of the drawbacks of our government, where some of the dangers of our current political system, some of the problems of our current political system, some of the challenges that we face, and also some of the positive things that come out of our current political system. And after we've kind of done that introduction, I'm going to have you do an assignment that looks at one basic question, and that kind of is a question that drives a lot of this class, a lot of this course, a lot of this fall semester, and that is basically, what should the government do? What should the government do? What is the job of the government? What purpose does it serve? And as I'm sure you know, a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about this. Some people tend to believe that government should be more involved in the lives of citizens, while others tend to believe that the government should be as little involved in the lives of everyday citizens as possible. So we'll take a look at those two different types of schools and also try to figure out what you think about this. How do you consider the appropriate role for the government? What is the appropriate things that the government should care about, what it should do? And after we've done those couple of introductory things, we'll turn more to some more concrete examples of how our government, the American government, came to be. So the first unit there, we'll look at a couple of different things. One deals with the underpinnings of our government, what influenced our government as it came to be. There are two major things that we'll look at there. One is the Enlightenment. Came from Europe. I'm sure you've learned a lot about the Enlightenment in other classes you've taken. And the other thing is the American Revolution, of course. That we have to have a very brief understanding, but at least some kind of understanding of the American Revolution, how that affected the development of the American political system. After we've done that, we'll move on to some more concrete examples of the first kind of hesitant steps that the revolutionaries took towards establishing a functioning democracy and a functioning government. So looking at that, you're looking at, first of all, the Articles of Confederation, the attempt to create a government that wasn't necessarily the most successful one, but did get the colonies started towards a more sustainable and a more practical government. We'll look in detail at the debate between Federalists and Anti-Federalists that came out of the Article of Confederation, and the Articles of Confederation, and see what people believe that the government should do. Again, you've got to keep in mind that these are people that are creating a government from scratch here, and then they're trying to figure out what should be the appropriate role of the government, what should the government do, how should the government function, who should elect whom, etc., etc. And then lastly, in this little unit, we'll take a look at the actual penning of the Constitution, the writing of the Constitution, who was involved, what were some of the main concerns that these people had. After that, we'll take a little bit of a closer look at the Constitution itself. So we'll take a look at the most important aspects of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the amendments. And one thing that I want you to keep in mind as we go through this is that, do you think these documents still work for us? Is this something that you know, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the amendments, is that something that serves us well today? Does our political system, the fact that our political system is based on these documents, is that a good thing? And again, we're going to do some activities that deal with those kind of issues. And then lastly, we'll take a look at the system that we have today, kind of a federal system, where we have the kind of the balance between a federal government and state governments, and we'll take a couple of look at some case studies in which this sometimes tenuous relationship between state governments and national governments